and welcome to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. My name is Omar Pinto, the host of the Shair Podcast and a founding member of the SRC, the Shair Recovery Community. In the SRC, we have a number of live online recovery meetings every week on a number of different topics. This podcast is only one example of the content provided to our members. In this meeting, a chapter of the Tao Te Ching is discussed every week as to how it relates to recovery. I hope you enjoy this week's podcast episode.
Hey guys, Buddy C. This is the December 26th, 2019 Tao Te Ching meeting for the Shair Recovery Community. I'd like to welcome everyone. I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas. We did. It was low-key and just, I did a James Bond marathon, actually. I watched I watched Dr. No and those good old Bond movies. We had a good time, actually. But just kind of relaxed a little, took a couple of days off, saw some family, was very grateful for everything in my life. I tried something new in one of those movies, too. I usually sit there on my phone while I'm watching the movie, and I'm playing Candy Crush or I'm doing something and I decided this time what I was going to do was watch the movie and put my phone down because, so it'll spark something and I'll say, oh, I wonder who was that played this? And I'll sit there and I'll be off in wherever listening to the movie in the background. I said, I think I'm just going to enjoy the movie this time. So I set my phone down and tried to just watch the movie. And it was really enjoyable. Even a 50-year-old movie was enjoyable. I was surprised at how little I'm really in the moment, even though I like to think I am.
Candy Crush, it'll just suck you in.
I've got to get that next level. I don't understand.
My husband asked me why I like it. I'm like, I think it's the graphics. Because it's so fun to watch. Ooh.
It's the winning. I get to win and be told I'm wonderful all of the time.
Yes, that's true.
Greg, you got something?
We tried to watch a film without Callum talking all the way through it. Didn't work. I'm actually going to try get through this meeting without playing on my phone.
That'd be great.
I actually done something. Last night I actually sat and watched last week's meeting on the SRC. It was funny. I really enjoyed that. It's a whole different experience actually sitting and watching the meeting than sitting and listening to it. And plus I watched it on my phone, so I had to give it my full attention. I couldn't sit and play my phone while I was watching it on the phone. So that's my resolution for today. I'm going to try not to touch my phone.
Keep at that. Let us know how that goes, Greg.
Yeah.
I'll text you.
All right. Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah, so I can look at my phone. Yeah.
Notice he said that after he put his phone down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the 8th chapter of the Tao Te Ching. Kate, are you ready?
I am ready. All right. The highest good is like water. Water gives life to the 10,000 things and does not strive. It flows in places men reject, and so is like the Tao. In dwelling, be close to the land. In meditation, go deep in the heart. In dealing with others, be gentle and kind. In speech, be true. In ruling, be just. In daily life, be competent. In action, be aware of the time and the season. No fight, no blame. Second translation. The supreme good is like water, which nourishes all things without trying to. It is content with the low places that people disdain. Thus it is like the Tao. In dwelling, live close to the ground. In thinking, keep to the simple. In conflict, be fair and generous. In governing, don't try to control. In work, do what you enjoy. In family life, be completely present. When you are content to be simply yourself and don't compare or compete, everybody will respect you. Third translation, the supreme good is like water, which benefits all of creation without trying to compete with it. It gathers in unpopular places. Thus it is like the Tao. The location makes the dwelling good. Depth of understanding makes the mind good. A kind heart makes the giving good. Integrity makes the government good. Accomplishment makes your labors good. Proper timing makes a decision good. Only when there is no competition will we all live in peace. Final translation, doing the right thing is like water. It's good for all living things and flows without thinking about where it's going, just like Tao. Keep your feet on the ground. Remember what's important. Be there when people need you. Say what you mean. Be prepared for anything. Do whatever you can whenever it needs doing. If you don't compare yourself to others, nobody can compare to you.
Nothing compares to you.
Well, like
Good
nobody does it
stuff.
better.
Good stuff, Craig.
Nobody does it better. James Bond. Who sang that? Carly Simon.
Carly Simon.
Carly
How about
Simon.
Nothing Compares to You by Prince?
No, that was Sinead O'Connor.
Prince wrote it. Right, Paul?
Yes. Wrote it and recorded it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, Craig.
You're
Yeah,
sure
Craig.
But Sinead had the hit, so Craig is correct on that.
Am I showing my age by remembering the hit? That's not what it is.
But
I
reading
didn't welcome everyone today. Let me do that right quick. Lala and Tina, Kate, Marla, Craig, Paul. I wonder if Dave will pop in. He's not going to work today, so I doubt he pops in. Or maybe he's going to work today. He might be working today. Who knows?
a lot of people are.
I
Yeah.
just filled in my phone quest because somebody just texted me, and a big shout out to Hootsuite who are trying to solve a problem for us.
You're able to pause your phone. You can mute it, Craig. It's possible. And then you can flip it over and you never even see what's going on.
Or
No,
leave
it's
it
not
in another room.
I'm getting irritable discontent. Oh, I can't do it. So,
Guys, what's your thoughts on this?
yeah, so the translation, I got a Tao Te Ching book for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
It was the condensed Jonathan Starr version. I'm waiting on the big thick one coming, and he's got a good translation for the 8th, and it talks about the same thing as the other translations, but the translations we were reading says the supreme good is like water. He puts it to the best way to live is to be like water, because it benefits everything. And it provides for everybody. And when it's talking about dwelling, he talks about building a house on a solid foundation. And it reminded me of Matthew 7, where they're saying that a foolish man will build his home on a foundation of sand, and it'll get washed away with the winds and tides, whereas I can't remember the exact words, but a more intelligent or faithful man will build his house on stone, and then that way it'll weather all the storms. So I kind of related that to my recovery. And I thought, to start with, if I look back at my early recovery, I kind of built the foundation of my recovery on more of a sandy ground, something that was kind of wishy-washy. It wasn't as stable as maybe it should have been. It lasted me for 14 months, and then it started to kind of crumble underneath me. And then that's when I was in and out of AA. I was in and out of these recovery groups as well. And I was going backwards and forwards to my doctor as well, because I was really, really struggling with post-acute withdrawal syndrome. So one of the symptoms of that was depression and anxiety. I didn't want to connect with anyone. I didn't want to communicate with anybody. I was incredibly withdrawn. My wife actually made the appointment for the second visit to the doctor. She basically says, look, you're going because there's something wrong with you. And my doctor recommended, look, go back to AA meetings, go back to connecting with people, get involved with groups. If there's something that you're struggling with, then talk to people about it. So that kind of gave me a second lease of life for my recovery. When I joined the SRC, I was in the SRC and the other ones as well to start with, but I really got involved in it. I started integrating with the groups. I started posting more in the groups. I started asking more for help, and I started going back to meetings as well, which was integral for this part of my recovery. It was better for this stage of recovery because it's given me more of a solid foundation. It's given me a proper program that I can work with. I now have a sponsor and I have sponsees. I've got that foundation that I know is going to be solid, and I know exactly what to do if things start to crumble around me. So if I start building this tower and it gets higher and higher, and it starts to sway in the wind, or it's not as solid as I want it to be, then I know that I can always go back down a couple of different levels, back to that foundation, and revisit the things that have been important in building what I've built. If that makes sense to anybody. Hopefully it does.
It does. I agree that in recovery, I've had to build a really strong foundation in order to be open to the other ideas, like be open to the idea of a higher power. I needed a foundation first, whereas, I think a lot of people have a higher power first, but I needed a foundation first to really understand what my higher power is, or is today, I guess.
Yeah. It wasn't much fun watching the foundations, the first phase of my recovery, wash away. It was absolutely no fun whatsoever. I thought I was doing really good. And then I got to a stage where I was thinking, do you know what, I'm putting all this work in and I'm getting absolutely nothing at all out of it. I was still only looking at what I was getting out of what I was doing. And what I was getting was more and more withdrawn because I wasn't connecting with people. I wasn't offering myself for service. I was still being selfish.
Yeah.
And that was where I built that foundation. It was a case of, what can I get out of this? Second phase, what can I do for people? How can I help other people? And it's been a massive, massive difference this time around. And
a seismic shift.
It is, yeah. It's community. There was more of a paradigm shift involved in it as well. I used to sit and think, this is why I drank. This is why I drank over this stuff. And now I look at things and I'm like, seriously, that's why I drank shit? Seriously? Is that where my life had gotten me to? But it wasn't that's where my life had gotten me to. That's where my ego got me to. That's where myself had basically rooted itself in my life. I was thinking, look, this is shit. Let's go and have a drink. This is really good. Let's go and have a drink. It's raining outside. Let's go and have a look. The sun's out. Let's go and have a drink. Everything was just revolving around myself and drink, whereas now it revolves around everybody else. Drink doesn't even come into it these days. I stopped thinking about drinking as well, because I usually find that with what we constantly think about, we become. We spoke about this last week, and it's true. If you keep thinking about drinking, you're going to be thinking about is drinking. Even if you think about not drinking, you still think about drinking. Whereas if you have that little shift to think, I'm going to think about getting better and helping other people, that's where I moved on.
I like the last stanza of his translation, Craig. It says, he moves in harmony with the present moment, always knowing the truth of just what to do. Comments, anyone?
On that note, I was reading a little bit further. When people don't do the right thing and don't go against the flow, let's say you're a cruel, evil dictator, I'm just giving you an extreme. Even though it may not bother them at the moment, it's something that wears on them, and they may not. I don't know what the word is, but they may not atone through their life. I guess that's the word I was looking for. But they end up having a really bad life, or bad conscience. They end up just being unhappy in a way because they've done the wrong thing. They somewhere deep down know they've done the wrong thing. Even to them, it's the right thing, but they know deep down it's the wrong thing. Does that make, I hope I'm making sense.
That used to be my daily. That used to be my daily. I used to do the wrong thing, and I knew I was doing the wrong thing, but I'd always get away with it. So I'd always try and push everybody else's boundaries.
Uh-huh.
That was my way of life. Let's see how far I can push this. Let's see how far I can push people into how far. They're going to keep coming back. I know they're going to keep coming back anyway. So nobody's going to react to me. So let's just keep pushing it until you push that boundary too far, and then people snap.
And I was thinking about, for me, that I used to steal drugs. I used to, I'd go to somebody's house, whoever it was, anybody, and I'd look in their medicine cabinets and steal whatever drugs I could. Well, that is just appalling behavior. It's like, I would never do that in real life. If not being an addict, I know it's addict behavior, but it's not the kind of behavior that it goes against my moral grain. And that wore on me and wore on me and wore on me, even though I kept doing it over and over and over again. But it really, it wore on me. And that's, I think, part of where my own self-hatred came in. It's like, this is not me. This is not behavior I condone. But I continued to do it. I wouldn't even consider doing it now. Right.
I think that kind of connects to the end of this reading where it's talking about comparing yourself to others. For me, I did that too, Marla, and I did so many other things that were very questionable. And I think today still, I think about all those things that I did, and I know I did them in my addiction, but I think about those things. I think about, where I've got to in my life compared to where my family got to in their life, compared to other people. And I still compare myself. I still think, I should have got further. I should have a better career. I should have done this more. And I still struggle a lot with comparing myself to, it's sort of a combination of the stuff I know I've done that I regret and the stuff I haven't done that I feel I ought to have done to have got to where I should be that I'm not. So it's like I'm comparing myself, and I know I should be just happy with where I am because I'm way better than where I was.
Right.
Way better. But somehow I'm still quite self-critical.
Yeah, we're our own worst enemies. We're our worst friend, not our best friend.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it's like to not the material things of what job do I have? What family do I have? It's more like I think about where I am just spiritually, how I treat other people, the changes that have come from that. Because, right now it's like I had to move home because I didn't trust myself on my own. I don't really work, although I have a couple projects going on. I don't have the family that some people have. And it's just me and my puppy Levi. And it's like, what? Just where I'm at now it's just easier. It's easier in my head. I'm not focusing on all the crap I did to people because I haven't, when I'm not drinking, I'm pretty much a great friend. When I'm drinking, I'm an asshole. So it's like, yeah, I compare myself, I guess, only to myself of where I was when I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Spiritually, just in every way, just a better person.
Marla said something that was quite interesting. She says, I wouldn't do this in real life.
In real life.
And it reminds me that this isn't a practice. It's not. This life is not a practice for something that's going on. And I had this conversation with somebody else as well. Just at what point do we say to ourselves, "Look, enough's enough. Let's stop dicking around and get on with it." It's like Santa talking to these elves on the shelves. Obviously, at some point, he's had to say to them, "Let's stop pissing around in these shelves and get some work done." It's kind of like that with my life at some point where I need to say to myself, "Look, we really need to screw the nut. We really need to realise the fact that it's time to grow up now. It's time that we have to actually It's time that I actually have to move on and man up and just get on with life. I don't mean man up as in man up, but you know what I mean. It's time that we need to actually get on with things, pay attention to what we're actually doing, take things a little bit more seriously.
Well, we're lucky that we're able to do that. A lot of people, continue their alcoholism till they die. And we're lucky that we found each other and found groups and found ways to practice recovery. It's a practice for sure,
Yeah, it's not linear. Recovery isn't linear. It's, 2 steps forward, 10 steps back sometimes. So I like to think of it, like Marla said, it's like yoga. It's a practice. You are constantly working on it. It's just that whole thing. People say sometimes with it not being linear, it makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a line in the second translation that I really like. It says, "In work, do what you enjoy," and I've really taken that to heart. I often tell people I haven't worked a day in like 30 years because I just love what I do. And even through my addiction, I'm so grateful I was able to hang on to this job. I didn't let it affect my job in a negative way. And that's probably the only good thing I can say that came out of my addiction. I never drank on the job, and I was hungover plenty of times. But somehow I was able to get through it, and somehow I was able to hang on to my job. And I tried doing some other things when I was younger that I thought I was supposed to do that would probably have made me more money and made me more successful, but it wouldn't have made me happy.
That's success, though.
Yeah.
Being happy.
Yeah.
Like, remember I think Tuesday when I quoted John Lennon, his teacher asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, and he said happy. She said, "Oh, you got the answer all wrong." He's like, "No, you got the question all wrong." I want to be happy. You're 10 steps ahead of the curve, when you do something that you love.
Was it not Jim Rohn that said if you're not doing the job that you love, then you're in the wrong job?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You're there at least 8 hours a day. So for me, it wasn't so much the job, the company. It was always the people. I'm like, are these people that I'm going to want to be around, like my friends? And, screw how much money it is. Is this, like one time I took a job at a recruiting agency. It was all women. Like maybe one guy. And the 3 partners had been doing this for years, and I was just like, oh my God, I had to leave it. I couldn't deal with all these squawking women that all talk behind each other's back.
Yeah.
It was like, it was the most money I'd ever made working there, and I laughed. I was like, I can't be around this kind of, female energy.
Money doesn't make us that happy. It helps, but it doesn't solve any problems.
And it's hard because we live in a materialistic society, and
yes.
You're bombarded every day with ads and people and comparing. It's hard not to compare yourself to other people. I mean, I understand where Kate's coming from on that, because I used to do that, and that drove a lot of my addiction too. I would see all my friends getting married and having families, and on the outside everything looked great, but then there's divorces, and their kids resent them, and boy, I'm glad I don't have that problem. Yeah, you just have to be true to yourself. Just follow your heart.
That's going with the flow of water.
Yeah, that's why I always drink my water.
Funny, one of the things that when I took my refuge vows at my Buddhist temple, one of the things was not to be around people that you shouldn't be around, that are negative or something. But the other main one that I have to always remind myself is no gossip. Don't participate in gossip, because when I catch myself doing it now when I'm with people, I'm like, well, you know what? And then I'm like, oh, I'm such a bad, and I say it out loud, I'm like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. It's a practice. It is a practice. People bond over it. It's like, ooh, what dirt do you have? And it's like, I used to make friends that way by, telling on other people's secrets so that we had this little bond. And no, I don't.
Those are pretty hollow friendships, though, aren't they, Lala?
Yeah, exactly. I was in my party days when, I'd be completely blitzed with somebody that I barely ever hung out with unless we were partying, and I would just tell them all my crap, all the crap. And it's like, yeah, these weren't like real friends. These were party friends. Not that all of them were just friends, but yeah, it's like if you're hanging out with somebody that every time you see them, you're drinking, it's not really a good friendship. That's why I had to leave all those people. I couldn't be around it.
So do you find being, I don't want to say alone because you're not alone, but being without them, isn't life a lot simpler? Do you find it simpler? It's both. It's like, I have to completely not be around people that drink. But moving home to Virginia, I guess some people would call it geographic, but the first year was really hard because I didn't have anybody other than my family, not really friends. And I'm so used to having a crew of girlfriends, even sober girlfriends, and so yeah, it was very lonely my first year, but it's now it's filled up with so many things, I volunteer, so I have my yoga community, my volunteer place community. I don't have those good best friends anymore. I have my sister, but I think on purpose it was important for me just to be alone and be able to sit in the stillness because, that was just keeping me busy, having friends to do things with. I think it was important for this time in my life to kind of pull back, learn to be on my own.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Tina.
What I found was I felt like I would choose friends that would make me feel like who I was, like my identity was in my friends. And so when I quit drinking, obviously, I followed the rule where you evolve your drinking with your friend group that can drink with you. If there was a group of people that we could drink together and then I was drinking more than them, I'd have to move on to find the next group of people that drank more. And then it's 8 a.m. Oh, yeah, cheers. I'd have to find people that matched my lifestyle. But at the same time, I still use them for my identity. That's who we were. That's what we did. We were hilarious about it. We were this, in our minds, it was just all about justifying what I was doing. And I found when all that went away, it was in part the drinking and my friends, I didn't know who I was anymore because I didn't have my friends to put forth who I was. And I couldn't relate with this group and that group. And this is what we did. I thought, oh, who am I? Now I'm boring. Now I'm not funny. Yeah. Now I'm not. And it took a long time, but it was almost like I needed that. And I think my higher power was like, all right, here's what's going to happen. Everything's going away and it's just going to be you. It still makes me short of breath thinking about how traumatizing that was. Then I just have to sit there with myself.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, like coming home being alone. My whole identity was wrapped up in being La, the party girl, and here I come, and all that. That was a huge persona of mine, and to shed that it was scary. It's like, who am I without that? But it's like, I'm still fine. I still, can. I'm more fun because I don't turn into a mess around them anymore. But it is hard to shed that. I battled that for a long time. Like that's who I am. If I'm not that, then what am I?
That's like another Jim Rohn quote. If you're the smartest person in a group of 5 people, then you're in the wrong group. It's kind of like the same if you're the soberest person in a group of drunk people. Maybe you're in the wrong group of drunk people. Find another group of drunk people that you can keep up with. But I think the third translation talks about how we find it much easier when there's no competition. Things are a lot better when we're not competing with things, and I find that as well when I stopped drinking. I wasn't competing with this dual identity. When I was drinking, I find it incredibly more tiring and tiring every single day, trying to just keep up with who I was yesterday. And it's not who I wanted to be. I just wanted to get rid of that person and just be myself. But I find it incredibly difficult because that identity was what the relationships I'd built up with people. That's who people thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take a break from that. When I stopped drinking, I took a little break from life. I was still working, but my job means I don't have to integrate with too many people, which is great. So I could kind of just become I could really become who I wanted to be, myself, without having to show all the rest of these people how I was changing and how that different persona was falling away. And my life these days is just so much better because I'm not having to compete with that ass from yesterday.
Water doesn't compete with itself. It just flows.
Very wise, Marla.
I didn't make it up. I read it, that we're 75% water in our bodies and 85% water in our brains. And if you believe in creation, we morphed out of the water.
I used to be 75% bullshit.
I thought it was more.
95% bullshit now? You increased it. You didn't.
He's down to 74 now.
74 and a half.
But I had a problem kind of along Tina's line though too. I got to the point where other people couldn't hang with me and I couldn't find people that could hang with me, so I isolated. I mean, I would go to the bar and hang out with all these drunks, and then I'd still want to keep the party going. They want to go home. I'd go home and keep it going by myself. And boy, that's a recipe for disaster right there. And
beer in the shower?
Yeah, that leads to shower beer and all kinds of good stuff.
I did notice that they sell beer holders for showers now. I never noticed that before, but
Oh, sure, now they do.
Yeah.
You could have invented that, Paul.
I was just thinking that. You should have invented it.
I might have been retired by now.
The same as all these flavored drinks are bringing out. The gin market has just exploded with all these amazing flavors, and you think, why couldn't you have done that years ago? Gin to me was just like terrible. It was like
vodka too.
Yeah,
vodka's all flavored and it's good.
Yeah, and I missed out on this whole craft beer stuff too. You know, it's like, wow, where was this when I was? Not that I would have enjoyed it. I probably would have stuck with the same piss water I always drank. But
do you think I'd be able to moderate now if I went back to drinking decent stuff rather than just shit?
Nope. Don't even try.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, for real. I'm with you, Tina. Why don't you go try that, Craig? Let us know.
Yeah, give it a shot, Craig. See how
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I'll see you in 4 years.
Maybe.
if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but by then Louise would have left you and taken the kid. If you try drinking again.
Okay, so that's the good things. What bad things could happen?
Take your favorite country song and play it in reverse.
Does anybody else have any elders, any old timers that would say that that's what they would do if somebody was talking about maybe going back out or trying it, and they would take up a collection and give them $20 and be like, okay, there you go. Come back when you figured out if that's what you really want to do or not. That's just what they say at our tables. It's just this.
Yeah, that's smart.
I'll say sometimes in a meeting, Tina, that I got criticized for this. It was a similar thing that I was sharing, and I said, let's hear your experience, strength, and hope. Save your inexperience, weakness, and despair for your sponsor. And they were like, oh, no, you can't say things like that. That's just, I said, what? I said, that's what a meeting's for, is to share your experience, strength, and hope.
Yeah.
And that's what my sponsor told me, That whole generation of the ones like what you're talking about, the real, that's dying out in a lot of areas.
Is it the people who talk about their old drinking days and how awful they were? Those are people I want to hear from.
No, they're not, Marla. And I have a little compassion for them because they just, they don't know. So a lot of people will use a meeting for their sponsor when they don't understand that, or sometimes people are traveling, they can't get in touch with someone, so they throw up on a meeting is what we would call that, and it's okay. You love them anyway,
We call it holding a meeting hostage.
Yes. Holding the table hostage. Yes.
Yeah, that's good, Tina. Kate, did you get any resolution on your comparing? I know my internet went out, and I went out for a little bit in the meeting. I just wanted to make sure you got some, for me, if I start comparing like that, I look at gratitude, and with time in recovery, my idea of a successful life changed too. Instead of the career and the money and all those things that we look at a lot of times, and even things like, children and marriages and all that stuff too, I've got to believe that my life is as it's supposed to be, and that I can find peace and joy just as my life is, even more so if I can be content with it, regardless of what those other things that I might have or accomplished. With time, if you keep seeking a spiritual way of life, your thoughts on those things change.
Mm-hmm.
So how far are you along in recovery now?
3.5 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That didn't start happening for me until I got around 5 to 6 was when my thoughts really started changing. I was still comparing a lot at 3 years. So I would just encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, and with time, you'll realize that you're not comparing yourself like you used to.
Yeah. I mean, I have a pretty happy life.
Yeah.
I'm happy with my life.
But it's easy at holidays to start comparing with siblings and other people, and say, ooh, they have this and this, and I don't have that, the kind of thing, That's what I was hearing, And so I just want to encourage you that with time, all of that changes for you. You realize that you're right, that you're right where your life is as it's supposed to be, and it couldn't be any different for you other than you being dead, I mean, it could be worse.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, though? I mean, you really start understanding that, yeah, my life's like it's supposed to be, and I can be happy. And then you start seeing where the other people that have some of those things that we envied aren't really happy. They're not as happy as I am. And then you start realizing it's not in all those things. It's in, my openness to my higher power and doing the will of God in my life, where my happiness is, where my peace and joy is. It's not in all of those other things. So I would just encourage you, if you do start comparing, maybe use some gratitude, make a gratitude list maybe, and to help get back into the moment, and that's what I use. It works for me. I really think this whole chapter is just a description of what happens when we do the next right thing.
It is. It's about just going with the flow of things and not seeking to be above or below, but just going around it if it's there and being.
Because it's got this that last stanza or that last translation. Doing the right thing is like water. It's good for all living. And I think this description, all of these descriptions are what happens when we learn just to do the next right thing.
Mm-hmm. And it builds on it. Every time or for me, at least, every time I do the next right thing, it builds to the next level. Like, look at what I've done. I can do it again. And then the next time it gets easier, and then it gets better, and it just builds upon itself.
And it talks about that water is our example of that, in that it nourishes all things. How about this phrase of without trying? That's everywhere in this. It nourishes all things without trying to nourish them.
It's that effortless effort.
Yeah. Maybe when we're just doing the next right thing, we just stumble through, we can lead a Mr. Magoo kind of, if we want. That's what I kind of, where we just stumble into the next thing and it just happens automatically without,
I don't want to fall into a hole.
I don't want to fall into a hole, but I want to miss the hole and not even know I missed it. That's what happens all the time for me. I don't even know how much I've missed that I miss,
Put down your iPhone. Put down your iPhone.
I just never know. I don't know what's how my life is taken care of, and I don't even know it's being taken care of, or how many people I help without trying, by just trying to do the next right thing instead of, making the selfish, self-centered decision. Comments? Craig, do you see anything in Derek Lynn?
I was too busy with my new book.
Okay. It has a lot of descriptions of water that are really good, like comparisons that we can make.
I kind of go through phases with Derek Lynn. I kind of go through bits where there's loads in it, and there's bits where I think
this one I think is pretty good. I want to hit a couple of highlights here. We place ourselves lower, like water, not because we contrive to do so, but because it is our nature. He says it's our nature to be humble. I think it's our God nature, this drop of God that's within us, to be. And this idea that the ocean's the greatest body of water because it's the most humble. It's lower than all of the rest. And when you think about it, every bit of water anywhere in the world eventually seeks the ocean because the ocean's the lowest. The ocean's always giving back. It's the lowest, so it's that's what causes it to be humble. And that water runs into these places that nothing else wants to go. It seeks the lowest level. Water provides its benefits and moves on without waiting for any benefits in return. We benefit others in the same way when we provide assistance. We do so with no strings attached.
Mm-hmm.
Water reflects its surroundings and does not hide or change anything in its reflection. Like a mirror, we conduct ourselves with the same sense of integrity and accuracy. People come to trust us because they realize we will give them the truth when no one else will. Water administers to everything equally. It slacks the thirst of the kind person just as it does the unkind person. Thus, we also do not pick and choose the recipients of the benefits we provide. Now, I was looking at that. I was thinking about that. And I was thinking about our conversation, Kate, last week about people taking advantage of us and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And as I thought about that a little bit, I said, wait a minute. Just because we provide something to someone doesn't mean that they actually drink. That they, if you're thinking of water, like you can, lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, that kind of idea. How many people have we tried to help and you just can't help them because they're not ready to be helped? And I think that may be a better way of thinking about that than, if we think about it in the way, well, we're just going to, we just got to help every person we see. No, in doing the next right thing, I think that we attract a lot of times the people that we need to help. And we get this knowing if it's someone that we need to be helping or not. I mean, how many times have you seen a person in need that you've not helped because you just weren't comfortable? There was something that just wasn't comfortable about that. So I passed on those kind of people that I felt uncomfortable with. And I think a lot of that's the same thing is learning how doing the next right thing, what that really looks like. I'm going to finish these couple and then I'll get to Craig. Water's versatile. the world continually changes and we make constant adjustments to handle new challenges, conforms to the shape of any container, so that we've got to be ready for that kind of change. Whether it takes the form of rain or snow, water follows the timing of natural events. We're the same way. We live each day following the natural flow and take appropriate action at the appropriate times. Water gives itself to everything without protest. Like water, we do not engage in petty squabbles because our only wish is to be of service. So I thought that was pretty good. Craig?
Just we talking about water being the lowest and going to the lowest places, it kind of reminds me of some cultures where people will kind of bow their heads to people, or they'll bow at the waist, and you get some people that will go on their knees and get right down onto the floor. As if it's almost worshipping. As if it's almost worshipping the people. Maybe I kind of got that idea of water as well. It kind of getting as low as it can so it can help as many people. Just exactly like you were just saying there, buddy.
It just doesn't fight. Look at water. I mean, you drop water, just goes where it can. And the power that pulls, water's just pulled to wherever it can go. And it's not water's power that does it. Water's pulled by gravity and it just goes. It's not, water doesn't fight. It just takes the path of least resistance. So in the same way with us, when we're looking to do the next right thing, where's love pulling us? I've got on my wall, one of my friends in recovery, she says, go where you're being pushed. Don't resist it. Just go where you're being pushed. And I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And it's not difficult. If I can just stop for a moment and be quiet, if I get in a situation, another way to look at that too, and we talked about this in one of the other meetings, I can look and say, okay, I can question if I have, if I'm having difficulty figuring out what the next right thing is. I can say, okay, am I making this decision out of fear, or am I making this out of love? And if I look at it, I can usually tell, oh, I'm making this out of fear because I'm afraid they're not going to like me if I don't do this, or I'm afraid that someone's not going to approve of me. Many of my decisions might look on the surface, they're one way, but when I really look at, if I question if it's from fear or not, I can really tell that pretty easy. Oh, I'm doing this because I'm afraid. And it doesn't take much for me to really think that through. That for me helps. And I said, well, there's no fear here. I just want to help. Okay, well then I'll do that. And not complicate it and make it any more. And then the rest of this is just showing us what happens when we make those kind of decisions. We become content. We keep things simple. We become generous. We don't try to control. We do what we enjoy. And then we learn to be completely present. And when we're content to simply be ourselves and don't compare or compete, everybody respects us. That respect we're really looking for, we get when we start doing the next right thing.
And that's when we start changing the world.
And it starts with us, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And I like this in the fourth translation. He says, do whatever you can whenever it needs doing. That's pretty simple, isn't it?
Flip, but good.
Yeah, just whenever you can, just do whatever needs doing. Just leave it at that. We don't have to figure the thing out. We learn to be present. We just do the next right thing. Okay, guys, any closing thoughts on this 8th chapter? Anything that we really need to hit?
Let me just do one dire thing.
Okay.
This is about going with the flow of water. It's natural for you to be gentle, to allow others to be free to go where they're inclined to go, and to be as they need to be without interference from you. It's natural to trust in the eternal flow, be true to your inner inclinations, and stick to your word. It's also natural to treat everyone as an equal. All these lessons can be derived by observing how water, which sustains all life, behaves. It simply moves, and the benefits it provides occur from it being what it is, in harmony with the present moment and knowing the truth of precisely how to behave.
Without even trying.
without even trying. And let others be free to flow too. That's kind of important.
That's all part of it, because we learn just to go, how easy is it if you're floating down the stream and not fighting? It takes very little effort. And there's so much about water that we can see in life that really helps. Just do the next right thing. That's the big thing I get out of this.
Yep.
Just do that. And that's usually going to be me doing something for someone, me loving someone. It's definitely not going to be me doing something selfish.
And let others also do the right thing. Let others be free to do what they need to do as well, without judgment. Yes,
very good. Guys, I hope y'all have a great week. Happy New Year. And we will see y'all next week. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Tao of Our Understanding Recovery Podcast. For more information about the SRC, go to theshairpodcast.com. Shair is spelled SHAIR, and look for the Shair Recovery Community link. When you join the SRC, you will be able to participate in this meeting and many more live, plus access to a video library of past meetings and many more benefits for being a part of this growing community. Thanks again for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, please share this podcast with your friends in recovery.